This is a vacuum sealed bottle. This is a great way to keep your drinks cold for hours at a time in the hot weather. And it can save you a lot of money. This is a vacuum sealed bottle, and it has three parts. There's a lid, then there's a top here, which can be screwed on or off, and opened or closed. And then there's the container. This container is made of stainless steel, and there are many different brands of vacuum bottles. The outside is stainless steel and the inside is as well. And in between the outside and the inside there's a vacuum, and this stops heat from diffusing across the barrier. So as a result, when you put a hot or cold drink in this sort of a container, it will stay hot or cold for a long time. This is great. And this sort of a bottle is also sealed, which means it is airtight. And we can use this to our advantage to put drinks in it, and it'll stay hot or cold for a long time. What I've done now is I've taken a little bit of water and put it inside this pot, and I'm heating it. Notice it's just a little bit of water. It's not very much, just a little bit. And I'm going to put 2 tea bags in there once it's really cooking a lot. And the reason for this is so that I'm really making a flavoring. I want a little bit of hot water, which is very strongly flavored, and then I'm going to dilute it with colder water and ice and milk. So as you can see, the water's almost boiling now. And now I just throw the tea bags in, 2 of them, black tea, orange pekoe, or whatever you want. And they're going to sit in there for a while. I'm going to turn off the water and let it sit for a while, till it's really dark. Now you can see this tea is really dark, which is what it's supposed to be. And there's only a little bit of tea, not anywhere near enough to fill up the bottle. Now what I have here are some ice cubes, and I made these the night before, and now I just sort of loosen them up a little bit, and I'm going to take them and I'm going to put them inside of this vacuum sealed bottle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this ice, which I froze the night before, and I put it in these ice cube trays, and I'm going to put it inside of this vacuum sealed bottle. And we're going to put lots of ice in here. Now I have lots of these ice cubes, and I'm going to take them and I'm going to fill up the bottle with ice cubes, like a lot of ice cubes, because they're going to melt, and then over the course of the day, and then by the time I actually drink this, the water will be melted and cold. So you can see this bottle is really full of ice. You can see this bottle here is really full of ice, almost right to the top. But I leave enough space so I can put a lid on it. Now I take the tea, which is very dark, and I take the tea bags and I remove them. Now I have this very dark tea, which is really too strong to drink as it is, but it's going to be diluted and by the ice and the milk and the cold water I put in. So I'm going to pour this in here like this. And it's still hot, but that doesn't matter because the ice cubes are going to melt it. And they're going to move down in the vacuum sealed bottle. So you can see there's steam coming out, that's fine. Now I'm going to put some cold water and milk in here. Like that, the water's cold. Stick a little bit in there. That's good. Now I'm going to take some milk and pour it and fill it almost to the top. As much as I like. You can also put in cream, but I'm going to choose to put in milk. Perfect. Now you can see this mixture is almost filled right to the top. It's ice, tea, cold water, and milk. Now I'm going to take the top part here, and this sink has been washed out, so it doesn't matter. And I'm going to put it on top. I'm going to close it. I'm going to screw it on top like that. And now I'm going to put the lid on top like that. So now I have a drink, and you can hear the ice in there. And over 3 or 4 hours or 5 hours, it's going to melt. And then when I want it, it's going to be really, really cold and perfectly ready to drink. The milk will not spoil because of the ice, and the tea, which is too strong at the beginning, will be diluted by the melting ice in the water. So this is sort of like a little tea chiller that I made, and if you buy one, it's, I don't know, maybe $3 or $4 or $5, and this way you can carry this with you wherever you want, in your car or wherever. See, then when you're ready to drink it, you just press on the top like this, or open the vacuum bottle, however that's done with your model, and you just pour it in there like that. And then it's really cold, and it's quite refreshing. You can do the same thing with coffee or orange juice, or just put water in it. It works the same way. See, and this beverage is now very cold, and which is nice on a hot day. And it's completely portable, and it'll stay cold for hours, which if you have a pop can will not stay cold for hours. But these vacuum sealed bottles will, particularly if you put ice in them. Then when I'm done, I just seal it up again, and then I dump whatever is out in here, and I just screw the lid on top, and then then I'm ready for the next time, maybe in an hour. I can do the same thing with water. So this bottle is full of ice now, and now I just put some cold water in there like this. And then this water is going to stay cold for hours and hours, which is much nicer than a water bottle. I just put the lid on like that. Make sure it's sealed, and then put the top on. And if I'm going for a long drive or something, then I have cold water in my car for hours and hours, or I'm going on a hike or whatever, or even at the office. What I do now is I take a little bit of coffee, nice fancy coffee, and I pour it in here. And I make it really strong, so I make a very small amount, but I make it really strong. Again, it's flavoring. Now the coffee is done. It's very strong. Now we're going to make some iced coffee, and the ice is already inside. Now I'm going to pour in some coffee, and the coffee is going to melt the ice, so we're going to put lots of ice in there. This is very strong coffee. And now I'm going to put some cream in there. I could also put in milk, but in this case I'm going to put in some cream. Now you can see it's full of ice, cream, and coffee and water, cold water. Now I just put a lid on top, like this, a clean lid, close it, put a clean top, and then this thing this is ready to go, and it can stay in a hot place for hours, and it'll still be cold inside. And because it's the ice is inside, the milk won't spoil. But once the ice is gone, then you should probably throw it out if it's getting warm. This same technique can be used for juice too. You put in lots of ice, put in some juice, whatever you like, and then seal it. And then if you want to dilute the juice, you can put some water in, and then you'll have a cold drink which will last for hours, even in a hot place. So sometimes these vacuum bottles get a little bit smudged. What you do then is you take a napkin and you put a little bit of vinegar on it, like that, and then you just wipe the whole thing down with the vinegar, like that. And then you take another cloth, like this, a dry cloth, and you just wipe everything off, like that. And the result is a very, very shiny stainless steel container, which looks good and looks kind of impressive if you care about how it looks. Otherwise, this isn't necessary. That's also how you clean stainless steel in a kitchen. So sometimes, say if you're storing this vacuum sealed bottle in a hot car trunk, the ice can melt quicker than you want. So what I do is I take it and I wrap it in a blanket. And what it actually does is this will keep it cold for much, much longer, because the blanket acts as an insulator. And then when you want to drink it, you just unwrap it and open it up. This might be good for very, very hot climates. Once used, these vacuum sealed bottles have to be cleaned. It's actually relatively easy to clean them. First, you fill your sink with a little bit of water, some hot water. And then you open up the vacuum sealed bottle and you open up this part so it's open, in the open position. And we're going to fill it until it's maybe about that high on the bottle, so maybe halfway up the mouth of the bottle when it's placed sideways like this. Now we take some dish soap and we stick it in here. It doesn't really matter what kind. And then we can just roll it around like this. And it's being cleaned. So now we take a sponge like this. It sort of has a rougher outside and a sponge inside. This is what a scrubbing sponge looks like. See, on top it's this sort of a scrubbing pad, and underneath there's some sponge. They can be bought in many grocery stores. Here's what it looks like from the side. And we just wipe the outside like that. It's important to clean these just because to stop bacterial buildup. And you take this, which is in the closed position, now it's in the open position, and you stick it in here and you just shake it like this. And what happens is the water goes through the inside and outside and more or less cleans it out. The cup the cup part is relatively easy to clean too, just like this. And now here comes the tricky part. This is the inside. It's a little difficult to get in there with your hands. It's pretty hard. So what I do is I take this little sponge here and I stick it inside, and then I stick some water in like this, and then I stick the lid on like that, and then I just shake it. And what that does is there's a little bit of water in there, and that little bit of water shakes around and it moves the sponge inside there, and it actually cleans the inside of the vacuum sealed bottle. So now it's done. You can see the inside is nicely cleaned, everything is cleaned. And now I do the next stage, which is I just rinse it off. So now I take some clean water, and I just rinse it out like that. Until it's nice and rinsed out. Like that. Make sure the water runs through here and gets rid of the soap. Then I close it. Open, closed, open. And then I take this part and I just rinse it clean. And now I have a clean bottle again. What I do now is I take this bottle and I open it up like this, unscrew the top, open it up, and then I just let it dry. Like, stand it like this, stand this like this, and stand like this. And it's all on a hand towel, and it can dry nicely. Ready for the next use.